Let me tell you this, the older you do get, the more rules are gonna try to get you to follow. You just gotta keep living, man. Livin.
Warriors embracing the hustle. A podcast that challenges your viewpoints and mental willingness. Here's your host, Jake Rarrett.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Warriors Embracing the Hustle. This week, I got a very special guest, someone I've looked forward to having on this podcast for a while now. We've been in contact. We finally had some time to sit down and talk over the phone. So this week, I'm interviewing the one and only Scott Schebler, the Reds outfielder. He's been an amazing inspiration to me in the fact that we grew up in the same area, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, went to the same high school. He's about 6 years older than me, but I looked up to him because he always stuck with his craft. He kept going through the hard times. We talk about it a little bit in this interview, but there was times where nobody wanted him for college baseball, but there was one coach that stuck with him. And he continued to chase that dream. And look where he is now. He's a Major League Baseball player. And guys, I hope you guys enjoy this interview as much as I did. It was an amazing interview, and I got to know him a little bit better, and I hope you guys can too. I just want to give a shout out to Cole Schulte for setting this up. He's always been a great guy to me, and I thank you so much for that, Cole. Hope you guys enjoy. This is a conference call, so the audio is a little bit worse than what a microphone would be, but it's as good as I could get it, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to interview this man. So I'll catch you guys after the interview.
Hello?
Hey, Scott. How's it going, man?
Hey, how we doing?
Good, man. I just want to thank you for coming on my podcast today. It was great.
Yeah, sorry.
Time out of your day.
As I say, we just kept, every time we got something planned, something interrupted it, so.
Hey, man, no worries. I know you're a busy man. But I just got a couple questions for you today. I know you've been on the DL, but I kind of want to stay away from that. I kind of want to talk about your journey on becoming an MLB baseball player.
Okay.
If we could just start out as talking as far back as high school. In high school, it says here you were a multi-sport athlete, and looks like you were all-state for soccer. What ultimately made you choose baseball? And did you have any offers for any other sports?
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I think more than anything, I just enjoyed other sports. I don't think baseball was really my favorite per se. I would say soccer and football were kind of my favorites in high school. But I enjoyed having different seasons. So. Different group of friends with different sports. So, spring would be soccer, summer would be baseball buddies, football buddies in the fall. So it was just kind of cool to have different buddies and do, and have, different seasons per se. But yeah, baseball just kind of came about, later on. I was definitely looking to play football in college for a little bit. But I'm glad my mom and other people talked me out of that. Now being in baseball and seeing, we go over to the Bengals games and we interact with some of the NFL guys. Those guys are monsters. They're so big that, I wouldn't have made it anyways, but, I couldn't imagine running into people like that,
Right. And did you have any offers for any other sports?
I had quite a few like preferred walk-ons kind of a deal, which is a good situation. It's not like scholarship, but yeah, like the University of Iowa was after me a little bit, UNI, Iowa State a little bit, but nothing like solid, like no like full ride or anything like that. But they definitely were talking to me about being like a preferred walk-on, which I guess, I don't know if that's still a thing, but that was a thing back then with preferred walk-on, where it's like, okay, you come here, and then, if you do well, then next year you could be on scholarship kind of a deal.
Right. And going on from that, going into your college days, you went to D.M.A.C. College. What ultimately made you choose going to D.M.A.C.C?
Ultimately, nobody else wanted me for baseball, so
All right.
yeah, it was kind of a weird process. So my D.M.A.C.C coach, Dan Fitzgerald, pretty much put me on the map. He would show up to my basketball games, he'd show up to my football games, hang out with my parents. He was just pestering me all the time to come play baseball at D.M.A.C.C, and I'm like, dude, you need to relax. Like, nobody's recruiting me. Like, you don't have to be at every game, Like, I'm pretty sure if I'm going to play baseball, it's going to be for you guys because nobody else is even looking at me, kind of a deal. But he was so adamant about me choosing baseball that I think his belief in me, it made me believe in me, kind of a deal. He really just like sat me down and just walked me through the process of what I could potentially do if I specifically trained just baseball instead of do all the other sports, So
right.
Yeah, obviously I made a good decision at the time. It was kind of a blind shot, trusting him and what he. But we're extremely close. I still talk to him all the time. I actually just talked to him the other day. He's wondering when I'm going to get healthy and get off the DL, and So
you can give a lot of the.
It really started with him for baseball, honestly.
And you can give a lot of the credit to where you are now to him.
Oh yeah. He's at Dallas Baptist now, and he'll get a Division I head coaching job at some point in the future. But yeah, he was such a networked guy. He put his players first. He was just a player's manager, He did everything for the players, and he put he started 2 years before I got there, and he was putting people into Auburn, Dallas Baptist. He was putting people in places that I never imagined I would play, Division I baseball. So seeing that, you could come out of D.M.A.C.C and go to places like that, kind of just that solidified my decision to go there.
All right. And so you didn't end up transferring anywhere else after D.M.A.C.C. Did you go directly from D.M.A.C.C to the MLB draft? Yeah,
so one of the things that made me sign with D.M.A.C.C is he told me I could sign with he would get me signed with a Division I school after my freshman year. And I actually was signed to go to Wichita State out of my freshman year at D.M.A.C.C, and then the Dodgers ended up drafting me. So I decided to take the professional route.
Right. And that's been working out for you. So it says here you were drafted in the 26th round by the Dodgers in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
And you played single-A ball until 2013. And then in 2013 you had a breakout year you're batting around 300 with about 27 home runs and 91 RBIs. Did it feel like you were starting to play into your role and things were starting to click in 2013?
Yeah, I kind of tell this story all the time. When I first signed, it was not the first time I'd used a wood bat, but the first time I had, been competitive and used a wood bat. And I went to rookie ball, and I think it was like 2 days in, and I don't think I'd maybe tipped one. And I remember calling my dad, and I'm like, dude, like, I made a mistake. Like, I made a mistake signing. Like, these guys are way too good, like, kind of a deal. And I think everybody that's been in pro ball has had that moment where they're like, geez Louise. I'm sure the guys that are Hall of Famers, maybe they didn't go through that process, but I would say the majority of us have gone through that. We're like, man, I don't know how I'm going to hang with these dudes. Like, I got no chance. I remember calling my dad and telling him that after 2 days of pro ball, and he's like, hey, this is what you signed up for. At least give it a chance. You're 2 days in, kind of a deal. He's like, how about we give it, we give it 2 years, and we'll reflect on this, and we'll see where we're at in 2 years, kind of a deal. And at the 2 year point, I was starting to turn the corner, and then obviously 2013 was my monster year that kind of put me on the map. So yeah, it was not an easy road by any means. It was pretty rocky at the beginning, but I think after that and just going through the process, I had some amazing coaches along the way that helped me out tremendously. But at 13 was definitely the breakout year for me.
Right. And you talked a little bit about how you and your dad talked about what the best move would be. Do you say that your dad kept your head on your shoulders and he helped you through a lot of things in life?
Yeah, absolutely. He, he's kind of my hero. He's the guy I confide in with most of my stuff. So, he coached me all the way until high school, and then he just does a really good job of letting me learn and if I need him, I'll go to him. But he doesn't pry. He doesn't want to get in the way, kind of a deal. Because once I got to high school, he's like, hey, you're better than I ever was, so I can't teach you anything more. If you need me, I'm here, kind of a deal. So I just feel like that's helped our relationship a lot. And I've seen, and hopefully I'm a dad one day, and I want to be really involved in my dad or my son's life or my daughter's life. But I feel like having him do that to me, just kind of giving me space to learn and come to him. And I mean, he was always very understanding when I came to him with stuff and very helpful. But I felt like that relationship was more beneficial than him always on my case about this, about that, So I think he did a very good job of kind of just letting me learn through the process of just experience instead of putting more pressure on me by giving me advice here and there all the time,
Right. That's great, man. So in 2014, you moved up to AAA ball and you were added to the 40-man roster for the Dodgers, correct?
Yeah. Well, I think that was 15.
2015? All right. What does that feel like to know that you are on a Major League Baseball team now and you finally have a shot to prove what you're worth?
Yeah, it was pretty surreal because if you look at that roster, that 40-man roster, that 40-man roster, to make that 40-man roster is pretty crazy in itself. I mean, they had dudes like Kemp, Ethier, Utley, Jimmy Rollins, Adrian Gonzalez, Clayton Kershaw. Like, to be on a roster like that of all teams, I mean, being on a roster in a big league team is, amazing as it is, but then to be on that roster just made it even that much sweeter, kind of a deal. But yeah, it was. They gave me a phone call. I think it was in December or whenever they have to protect you. And I remember the phone call. I know where I was standing when I got the phone call. They're like, "Hey, we're adding to your Major League roster. You're going to come to big league spring training next year." So yeah, it was a big deal. Big deal enough that I remember where I was and everything. I remember all the phone call and all that. So it was a very big deal for me.
That's awesome. And you got put into your first game against the Cardinals. Is that correct?
Yeah. So Puig went down on the DL in June, I believe, and they called me up for one day to start against Carlos Martinez on a Friday night in Dodger Stadium. So it was pretty wild, to say the least, but it was a whirlwind day. I flew out in the morning and hit LA traffic, as you know, is pretty bad.
Right.
I didn't get to the field till like 5 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game. Found out I was starting that night. Parents weren't able to come out because it was such a quick turnaround to get me there. But yeah, it was a cool moment. I actually got sent down the next day, and I met my parents in the airport because they were flying in when I was flying back to AAA.
Yeah, and what's that feeling like after you have this great moment of being on the team, but then you're getting sent back down the next day? Was that something that you knew was a part of the process, or?
I mean, you never want to get sent down, but the cool thing was they gave me the opportunity to see what it's like for a day, to play that role for a day. And if that doesn't make you hungry and that doesn't make you want to like work harder or come down and do your business, then it just makes you not want to be in AAA. More so than you already don't want to be. But it's just an extra motivator, and I think teams do that on purpose, just to give you a little taste, and then they're like, okay, maybe this will motivate them to, just that extra little motivation to get back up here.
Right. And then after that, it looks like here in December 2015, you got traded to the Reds.
Yep.
So there's been a lot of talk around different professional athletes being traded. Like DeMar DeRozan just got traded and he bashed his old team. How did you feel about that move, and what do you think about other athletes trashing their old teams?
I mean, I'm not a big social media guy. I mean, to each their own on that. I mean, you can do whatever you can do whatever you want. I mean, that's the beauty and also the downfall of social media and all that, and kind of the platform we're on. You can either use it for your benefit, but I mean, people remember that stuff. When you bash people remember it. I'm sure other GMs saw that. Granted, the guy's good enough to have a job, but I mean,
right.
I just feel like that's not something I would do. I'm not saying it was right or wrong for him to bash his old team. Maybe he felt some type of way about what they did and how they did it, kind of a deal. And that's, like I said, that's the beauty. That's our right. We can go to the media and say what we feel, but that's not personally something I would do. But when I first got traded, I was a little bummed because they gave you their first opportunity. You kind of have that blind loyalty to that team that does that for you. But as I kind of sat there and looked at the opportunity with the Reds, it was the best move for me personally to go into a kind of a rebuilding team. They were starting to get rid of a bunch of their stars and kind of just starting young. And I mean, it was just a fresh start for me with a new organization that had a lot of faith in me. And so far, it's worked out really well for me.
Yeah, that is true. So in 2016, you made your first opening day start, and you were splitting time with Adam Duvall. What was it like to be in that role of splitting time, but knowing you were still at the top of where you could be?
So that's where it started to separate for me. So I had been in the big leagues for about 2 months at that point, and I knew I could be an everyday guy. So to say I definitely wasn't bitter by any means to be up there, but I felt like I deserved to play every day, and maybe that was wrong of me to do that so early. Especially, I mean, Doobie ended up crushing that first half of that year, and I got sent back to AAA, which he just flat out beat me for a job. That was, I mean, he was better than me at that point. But it was weird because you want to be happy with being in the big leagues, but at the same time, if you get complacent, then that's a dangerous place to be at the same time. So I would say it was not my best. I was not my best memories of baseball.
Right.
But it was definitely something I probably had to go through, and I'm glad I did. But yeah, I was, yes, you want to be at the top and you want to be in the big leagues, but for me, that just being in the big leagues was never a goal. Like being an everyday guy was a goal of mine. Like I want to be a guy that is a core guy in a group of a winning team. That's always kind of been a goal of mine.
Right. So you talked a little bit how you got sent back down, and then it looks here you got called back up on August 21st to replace Jay Bruce in the trade for the Mets. Did it feel like it was big shoes to fill, or was it more of like, here's an opportunity to be that everyday guy?
So they traded him, and then I didn't feel like I needed to fill his shoes because the first game back up, they put Doobie in right and me in left. So it didn't feel like I was filling any shoes because I was playing left field, and I felt like more like Doobie was filling his shoes because he was playing right. So the first game they did that, and I felt great about it. And literally the next day they put me in right field, and I played right field for the next 2 years. But it was. I mean, Jay Bruce is one of the best human beings I've ever been around, best teammate I have ever had. So to replace a guy like that who was so beloved in our clubhouse and by the fans, it was definitely rough there for a little bit, and understandably so, because of how good of a guy he was. But I knew if I just kind of put my head down and that stuff would pass if my play if my play reflected, you know. So it was more so just kind of getting through that time and making sure just I put my best foot forward, play hard, kind of a deal. And, you know, with time, everything kind of gets a little easier with time. So it was definitely testy there for a little bit with the fans. I felt like the fans didn't agree with the trade, but hopefully they see now that, you know, it was in the best interest for the team.
Right. And if I remember right, that first night you came back, you hit a 3-run walk-off against the Cardinals?
Yeah, that was a good way to step in for sure. Is that first night that really helped my confidence coming in, because you know you come in for a multiple-time All-Star and a dude that's so beloved by the fans. You know, you feel that pressure. It's hard not to feel that stuff, and I feel like people who downplay that or don't say that they're like it's just another game. I feel like they're not giving you the real truth, because it's inevitable to feel something like that when you're replacing a guy that's, you know, of that caliber.
Right. And then in 2017, you started to, seemed like anyways, you got more comfortable with the starting role and hit 30 home runs. Going into 2018 or this year, did you feel like you were that guy, that core guy that was going to be there every day, day in, day out?
Yeah. I mean, they decided this year at the beginning of the year that we were going to platoon, do a 4-man rotation kind of a deal, where I'd play right, and then when Billy would get his off days, I'd play center, and then Doobie would play left for the majority of the time, and then get Winker playing time here and there. So coming into the year with that, you know, I think that weighed on all four of us, because I felt like offensively we were really good last year. But Winker obviously proved that he belonged here, so it was just a matter of time for him to break in. So, you know, we started the year with that. Obviously now Winker's down and Doobie's traded, so I feel like it was almost a little bit of a tryout for the first part of the year, and just to see who would win out the jobs. But yeah, I think coming into the year before that happened, I felt like I was one of those guys, and then that moment happened, and I was like, well, maybe they're still on the fence with all of us. Who knows? Right.
And up until now, you recently got hurt, how would you have graded your performance up until now for this year?
I mean, I'm pretty hard grade on myself. I think it's been a good year. I think it's been a step forward, but it hasn't been a leap forward for me. I definitely think I could have performed better, but I've had some freak injuries this year, which are that's just stuff you can't. It's not really anything you can do about. I mean, I started the year out great against a great staff in Washington, and then the last pitch of my last at bat of that series, I got hit in the elbow and it hit my nerve, and I couldn't feel my fingers for almost a week. So it was just kind of freakish stuff, and then running into the wall, kind of just got contorted there, running back, and ran into the wall and messed up my AC joint. So with all that being said, I think it's a step forward, but it's definitely not a leap forward. I believe I'm better than what I've shown in the last 2 years, because last year I got hurt as well, and I was having a really good year at the time. But yeah, I would say it's a step forward for sure, but it's definitely not a leap.
And I noticed the month of July they started you batting leading off. What do you think of your role batting leading off? Is that something you like to do, or is that just the position they put you in and you were willing to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem. I want to be in the lineup anywhere. Leadoff, honestly, just made it a little simpler for me. The whole game became simple, whereas, you know, hitting 5 or hitting 6, I felt like I overthought it as far as driving guys in, or, you know, they're going to pitch around me because, you know, there's not a power guy in the 7-hole kind of a deal. So I would overthink that. Whereas in the leadoff spot, they're going to come right at you, and my job's very simple. It's just get on base for the big dogs, you know. So
right.
It's honestly, I think it's more so that, and and getting better pitches to hit, because they don't want to walk me and then get to Joey and then get to Suarez and then get to Scooter. That's not the game plan, is to to definitely walk me. But it's just made the game a little simpler. And I think just the just being part of the core of the batting order has helped my mentality a little better as well.
Yeah, and when you bat leadoff, how much momentum can you give to the team? Say, like, when you have a home run, which you've done a couple times, how much momentum does that give the team for that game?
Yeah, I think the leadoff spot's a very important spot. I don't know. I think I fit the role well. I think the role is changing as the game's changing. There's a lot of power hitters that kind of hit first. George Springer is one of them. I mean, there's multiple. I mean, Matt Carpenter's a guy who this year's having a monster year. He's a leadoff guy, but he has a lot of power. So I think the game's changing in that sense where, do I have the speed to be a leadoff hitter? Yeah, but I'm not like your conventional leadoff hitter by any means. But I think they're starting to change. The game's slowly starting to change, and that's starting to become more of a key spot where it's not just, okay, we're going to put our speedy guy there that kind of gets on base but hits line drives. I think the roles change with the analytics of the game.
All right, and so that kind of wraps it up for all the questions that I have, but what I do with my podcast is I let people know that I'm having you on, and then they send in a couple questions. So I have just 2 questions here from a couple fans. The first one is from Cam in Iowa City. He just wonders if you have a favorite ballpark you like to play in.
Oh man, I would say there's 2 that I really enjoy. Coors Field is amazing. I think the city's awesome, but just the backdrop of the mountains is pretty cool. And then Dodger Stadium it's electric. It's it's definitely one of my favorite places to play. It's 60,000 people, loudspeakers. It's just it just has a different feel to it. So I would say those 2 are definitely my favorite.
All right, and then the next question is from Amber in Cedar Rapids. She just wonders what the support system has been like from the Prairie family and the family in Iowa overall, what that support system has been like in order to get you to where you are now. Yeah,
Prairie's been amazing to me. Iowa, I can't say enough good things about Iowa. I know I live in Arizona now in the off season just to be closer to training, but eventually I will definitely move back home. It's meant everything to me, and it's kind of cool to represent Iowa on a national stage. And we got a lot of up and coming guys, with Puck and with Keller coming up to also represent Iowa. So it's just kind of cool to give back and represent Iowa in a pretty special way. But yeah, it's definitely made me the man I am today, and I can't thank him enough.
All right, Scott. Well, thanks again for taking the time out of your day. I appreciate it, and get healthy, and I hope to see you back on the field soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, guys. Did you guys enjoy that interview or what? I was so hyped after recording it. I just want to give a huge shout out again to Scott Schebler of the Cincinnati Reds for coming on my podcast, taking the time out of his busy day to come on this podcast and talk a little bit about his journey to becoming an MLB player. It's been something that I've looked forward to, like I said at the beginning of this podcast, was interviewing him. He's influenced my life a lot by just sticking with his craft and continuing to grow and becoming a professional athlete. That's something that I've thought a lot about lately. I've interviewed a couple professional athletes now, Jaleel Scott of the Ravens, and now Scott. And it seems like every single time that I talk to a professional athlete, they demand the greatness. They see it in themselves and they continue to grow. And that's something that I'm trying to do with myself as well. I continue to look myself in the eye every day in the mirror and tell myself that each and every day, this day has to count. This day has to become something better than what it was yesterday. So I continue to do that, and I continue to grow. And I hope you guys are doing the same. And if this podcast is helping you do that, I'm extremely grateful to be that person to help you. And I can't stress this enough that you might think you don't need anybody. And I thought that for the longest time, that I didn't need anybody's help. But now that I've reached out to many different athletes, comedians, actors, a lot of people who have shown that they can become a better person, it's helped me see that I can grow as a person as well. So if you need some help, reach out. It's not that hard, and it's something that can help you a lot, and it's helped me a lot. So I thank you guys for tuning in to this week's episode, and I hope you guys continue to reach out and listen every single week. It's something that means the most to me, is having you guys listen each and every week, and I'm thankful for the support around me. I'm thankful for the help of my editor, Mikey, who's been here since day one. Mikey, you're great, man, and none of these opportunities and none of these interviews would be even a thing without you, Mikey. So I thank you for that. And guys, each and every week, I'm going to keep coming back with something different. Each and every week, there's going to be someone else, either a new athlete, a new topic, a new influencer, something new every single week. And I hope you guys listen, and I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I do, man. I enjoy this so much, and I do this for myself in the fact that it's getting my thoughts out and it's helping me grow as a person. But I also do this for you guys, the listeners, so that you guys can be influenced by the people around me as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this interview. Like I said, I got to learn a lot from Scott, and about his journey and about his life, and how he really, really didn't have that many offers coming out of high school, which sounds crazy to me and to a lot of people as well. You have a professional athlete who had one offer for Major League Baseball, and it wasn't even for college baseball, and it wasn't even Division I, and look where he is now. Man, it's an incredible journey, guys, and I thank you guys for tuning in so much each and every week, like I said, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you.